Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. What a wonderful day it is. It is an awesome day today. Today is December the 5th. It is a wonderful Sunday. Welcome to week two of Unearth the True You. Week two, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. I want to say welcome first and thanks for joining us today. So, first and foremost, how are you? Let's think about you for a second. How was your day? How was your sleep? How has your weekend been? Those are just moments of reflection. All right. So we're on week two of Unearth the True You. Today, we're going to talk about your personality, growing, and even assessing your personality and development of it. Our goal is to increase self awareness. All right. And so when we talk about personality, remember this: personality is your presentation of your self awareness on display to the world. Okay. So, with that in mind, we want to always think about, you know, what we give off because we always give off something, whether we know it or not. Okay. So, presentation of self to the world. All right. You're presenting how you see yourself. Yeah. You're presenting what you may think the world thinks of you. You're presenting how you think about you. Everything comes out in our personality. All right. So, what I would like for you to do is you're going to go to this website, and today you're going to do an assessment of self. And you can actually wait to the end until after the video to go and do the assessment. But the assessment is going to take place as an interview. This is going to be like a self interview. So when you read the questions and when you take the assessment, look at it as if you're interviewing yourself. And I want you to be as honest as possible when you make the choices on the assessment. It's going to be like a little survey. But yeah, this will be like an interview for yourself. Okay. And so the website that you're going to go to is 16personalities.com. So that's www.16personalities.com. And what this site is, it is a look into the different personality types, and it helps for you to discover what your personality type is. Yeah. Okay. And when you're finished with that, it will ask you to give your email, and you can give your email at the end of that and put it in there so you can get the results and keep the results, because there's more that comes along with it. It will give you information about, how your specific personality type responds to stimuli, negative or positive, how your personality type parents, the best personality type to match with your personality type romantically. Lots of different information that you'll be able to get from that assessment, from that self interview. So you can go ahead and write that down: www.16personalities.com. I'll say it again: www.16personalities.com. Okay, so you go ahead and do that at the end of the video, and yeah, I'll give you some time to begin to evaluate, make self evaluation. All right. So the next thing we're going to get into is, let's think about the word composite. Okay, let's think about the word composite. The word composite means a multi layer compound of information about a person, place, or thing. That's a composite. All right. In this case, since we're talking about personality development today and your personality, what makes you you? Remember, your personality is you on display to the world, right? Okay, so what makes you you? All right, that's the first question that you want to ask yourself. What makes you you? The second valuable question that you want to ask yourself is, what are the inhibitors of the true you? All right, because we're unearthing the true you today. We're talking about personality and developing the personality, your personality, which is you on display to the world. All right. So, what are the inhibitors of the true you? Hmm. Next, and this is a question that we want to dig into just a little bit today. What inspires you? What inspires you? The reason why we want to dig into this is because the inspiration of you is also played out in your personality to the world. What inspires you? Okay. So, one of the things that inspires me is to understand and to find out um, something new about myself. That's inspiring for me. I'll tell you something else that inspires me: the wind on my face, a beautiful small breeze upon my face inspires me, and so that's an inspiration. And so, what inspires you? It can be something large or something small. And what inspires you is important. It's important for you to know because what you can do is in moments where you want to express something, maybe you want to write something down, or maybe you want to, you have a project that you want to accomplish. Knowing what inspires you can help you to set the atmosphere or to create an ambience so that you can produce from your um, levels of creativity. Those places in you that produce creativity, you can produce the best when those places are stimulated. And when you know what inspires you, you can set the surrounding, right? You can create the perfect atmosphere to be able to pour out the best of you into what you're doing, whatever the project is. So it's important to know and find out what inspires you. It could be great or it can be small. But the importance of that is it inspires you. And that's what you want to be able to, you know, pour out. That's what you want to be able to tap into so that you can pour out in a great way. Okay? So take some time today and I want you to, pull your journal out. You should have a journal because the journal that's from week 1. If you don't, start today. Grab a journal, get a journal, blank notebook, doesn't have to be anything expensive. Sometimes, like my journals, I get a journal and it's pretty. It reflects my personality. It reflects me. You can do that too. But if you just want to get a regular notebook, that's okay. So get a journal, get your notebook, and write down what inspires you. Okay. Again, something that inspires me is just a cool breeze on my face. Just a cool breeze, right? And so, yeah. And so once you know what inspires you, you are better able to set the atmosphere when you do have to, produce something, a project or something like that. Yeah. All right. So now let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper. Um, and let's think about what your personality, developing it, what does that look like? What does developing the personality look like? All right. And when you think about your personality, um, are you the same everywhere you go? Are you the same in every aspect of your life, in every environment that you go to? Are you the same at work? Are you the same when you go around family? Are you the same when you're in the grocery store, when you go to church, when you're at school? Are you the same when you're alone? Are you the same when you're in a crowded room or when you're in an event? Or do you change to fit the environment that you're in? Does your personality change to become something that other people are more comfortable with? These are questions that you want to think about. These are questions that you want to write down in your journal. They're going to help because as we increase self awareness today, another thing that needs to increase that helps with self awareness and knowing yourself, knowing your personality type is self observation. Do you pay attention to you? Do you pay attention to yourself? Do you pay attention to your likes, your dislikes? Do you pay attention? So, a lot of what self awareness is self observation, knowing yourself, learning yourself. Okay. So, what I would like to do, let's talk about, you know, expanding that even more. So, what we're going to do is, um, we're going to develop personality, but let's look at a way to do that, a practical way to do that. And this is going to go with your journaling for this week. Okay. Today, we're going to create a success wheel. Before we get into the deep stuff, because we still got deep stuff to get into, we're going to create a success wheel. Okay. The success wheel is going to help us to realize balance in our personality, balance in who we are and how our self is displayed to the world in every environment that we're in. Okay. So let's first, we're going to create this. If you got your journal, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a writing and some creative doodling here. To create our success wheel, I want you to place a circle, all right? A small circle in the middle of your paper. So select a page out of your journal, and we're going to create a success wheel today. As you write and create a circle, just right in the middle, okay? Not on any corner. You want to do this in the middle of your paper, okay? Make a circle, all right? A little circle on one of the lines. Next, I want you to do an X, make a huge X, go from one end of the, not from one end of the paper to the other, but make an X halfway through your paper, halfway through the circle, going directly into the middle of the circle. And then you want to draw a straight line through the circle, okay? And then you also want to draw a straight line down the middle of the circle. When you're done, you should have something that looks like this, okay? This is going to be your success wheel. All right, we're going to do some assessing today. All right, so you should have something that looks like this once you're done. I'll give you a couple seconds to get that done. All right, and so then once you have that created, we're going to do a little bit of bubble mapping. All right, bubble mapping is a great way to bring out something that we're trying to, understand, bring out greater levels of understanding. Okay, so at the top, we're going to make a bubble big enough for a word to fit into. All right, something like that looks like that. And you're going to do that at the end of each of your sticks. Okay, not real big, but just enough to be able to write a word in there. This is going to help us gain greater levels of understanding about our personality and how we function in the environments that we go into. Okay, this is our success wheel. Okay, so it should look like this. All right, now in at the top bubble, all right, you're going to write in physically. Physically. Okay, the second bubble, you're going to write intellectually. The third, you're going to write environmentally. The fourth, you're going to write spiritually. The fifth, you're going to write socially. The sixth, you're going to write emotionally. Seventh, you're going to write financially. And then the last, you're going to write occupationally. All righty. All righty. So we're going to begin to break down what each of these places and your personality in each of these places and how that your personality is playing out in each of these areas. Okay, and we're going to talk about it. All righty. Okay, so first, let's talk about when we talk about physically, your personality physically. This is your personality and how you are with yourself alone in your own physical space. Um, this is something that we want to begin to think about. This needs to be something that is on the forefront of your mind. How am I with myself? Do you ever do things just by yourself, like take yourself to dinner? Do you ever just go to see a movie by yourself, or just have some quality time alone with yourself? These moments are really a great way to get to know self, to get to be okay and be, you know, be at ease in your own skin, realizing, you know, your own self-worth and, how you value you. So how are you? How is your personality with yourself physically in your own physical space? Okay? Okay. Next, we're going to touch on intellectually. Okay. What do you think about your personality? What's your personality when you go into learning environments? For some of us, that's school. Some of us are in school. I'm in school right now, you know, but what is that personality projection when you come into learning environments? Are you nervous around high intellectual people? Do you get fidgety when we talk about intellectual things? What do you think about yourself and your personality intellectually? Okay. Those are some things that you want to ask yourself. These things that we're discussing, you want to write them down so that they can be questions that you can think of introspectively when you're alone, when you're in your special journal time. Okay, intellectually. Also, environmentally. When you're outside, when you're in the community, when you're, doing whatever, what do you think about yourself in other environments? Are you the same? Are you the same? What do you think about that? Hmm? Think it's something that you want to think about your personality when you're out, when you're not in your personal space. Are you different when you get into public spaces? When you go into areas maybe that are unknown, that maybe you've never been before? What's your personality environmentally? Hmm? Next is spiritually. If you're a churchgoer, what is your personality when you're at your place of worship, when you're meditating, when you take those times for self renewal and self restoration and reflection? What is your personality? I know this may seem a little awkward, but think about these things. How are you revealing yourself to the world in these areas? Are you the same? That's the most important question in this entire matter. Are you the same? Okay. Next, socially. When you're in a place with friends, when you're in a place with people that you view as associates, are you the same? How does your personality play out before them? Are you accommodating? Are you strong willed? Are you relaxed? Are you domineering? These are things that you want to think about. Are you the same? What is your why? And then I want you to begin to ask yourself, why am I this way in social settings, in spiritual settings, in environmental settings? Why? Okay. Next, and we're coming to the end of this part of our talk today. Emotionally, in romantic relationships, how is your personality? Do you have to be in charge all the time, in control? Are you more amiable, agreeing? Are you the dominant one? Are you needy? What is your personality when it comes to romantic situations, romantic relationships? Financially, what is your relationship, or what is your personality when you talk about money? When money is being discussed, when finances come into play or resources have to be addressed, what's your personality doing? What are you doing? How are you thinking? Assess yourself, observe yourself in those moments, and take an examination. Do a examination on, what am I thinking about while someone's talking about money? Is my mind wandering? What's my personality during those times? We're on the last one. Occupationally, at work, does your personality change when you're at work? Who are you at work? How do you engage your colleagues? Is it something where you're joking all the time? Are you always serious? Do you take the time to pay attention, or are you just in the mix? That's important. That's very important. So think about these things. That completes our success wheel. Think about these things, write them down, begin to assess, and truly look at your personality, right? Begin to truly look at your personality. And as you do that, you're going to get to know yourself. Your awareness of self is going to increase, as well as your observation of self. So we just did a brief exercise which helps to evaluate self when it comes to personality and your personality type. Okay, don't forget to go to that website once the video ends and take that self assessment, do that self interview. Okay. All right. So your success wheel should look like this. This is a great way to take some self notes and to get to know self a little bit better. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now to briefly touch on journaling. Journaling, again, it is the best way to self observe. And it's good if you can do it twice a day. If you could do it, when you first wake up in the first hours of the morning, and to actually you know, reflect on the day before. That's really great to be able to do that. If you can do that and to be able to meditate and write down your meditations, it's good too. And then in the evening, before you go to bed, you can think about, that day, or you can, write down some of your favorite moments for the day, or even how you may have handled yourself. That's a great way to also be able to write, be able to reflect. And when you are reflecting and journaling, don't forget to go back, because a lot of times when you're self observing, you're able to see places of growth in yourself. That's why journaling is so therapeutic. Journaling is so it helps, and it's healing. There's healing there too. So yeah, journaling, it helps you to do several things. Journaling helps you to gather. You're gathering information about yourself. You're gathering information about your experiences and your responses to those. You're reflecting, you know, just like we just, that, like I said, reflecting on the day before. You're reflecting on the day that you are, that you're about to embark on, how you're feeling about the day that you're going to experience brand new, right? Because every day is a day that we've never seen before. That's awesome. You're revisiting, yeah. And then you're also pondering. You're pondering on life itself. You're pondering on where you were. You're pondering on where you are versus where you were. You're pondering on where you want to be. Yeah. So these are some great ways. Journaling is a great way to begin to assess and observe yourself. All right. Now we're going to kind of plunge off into the deep areas for a little while, and we're going to talk about the brain and how your thinking is also um, played out in your personality. Our thinking is played out, and our personality is played out in everything we do, in all of our interactions. So it's important to know, what am I thinking? What are my thoughts like? And, you know, because what you're thinking, oftentimes it's displayed on your face, right? So, yeah, this is a great way to keep that in front of us. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the brain, how the brain plays into personality development and personality um, assessing and looking into the personality, how we're able to understand the composite of our personality. So let's talk about the brain. Oftentimes, our thinking also influences um, our personality, right? And if our thinking is off, or if it's toxic in any way, that's not good, because then, you know, our personality can become toxic because of the way that we think. All right. So, one of the great things that I love about, learning is that you can learn about any subject, and the brain is something that I love to learn about because it teaches about different aspects of memory, imagination, you know, it teaches about cognitive information. There are even some subconscious and unconscious and conscious things that we need to learn more about and consider when we're thinking about ourselves and talking about ourselves and assessing ourselves and observing ourselves. And we can find that out by actually learning. So I love to read, and I follow Dr. Caroline Leaf. She is a neuroscientist, and this is her book, Who Switched Off My Brain. And Who Switched Off My Brain is about controlling toxic thoughts and emotions. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of passages in this book today, which is going to help us to understand how we're thinking, be able to assess how we're thinking and observe that, and to be able to grow, and come into new areas of understanding about ourselves. One specific topic that she coined in this book is called Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen is a specific reference to um, thinking process and how the mind works, and specifically toxic thinking, right? All righty. So we're looking at this part in our brains today. We're looking at our thinking process, and we're assessing toxic thinking, because our thinking is going to play out in our personality. And if we want to develop our personality for the good, we want to look at how we're thinking. Okay? So, the Dirty Dozen are 12 aspects of toxic thinking, and we want to touch on each one of them briefly. We don't want to have you here all day, but we want to make sure that we get this week's information to you so that you can understand and begin to make some great strides in personality development and self awareness. Okay. Alrighty. So let's introduce you to the Dirty Dozen and uh, different areas of life that have been targeted by toxic thinking, and how toxic thinking can help. Um, learning about toxic thinking can help in our positive development of our personality. Okay. All right. So here are 12, the 12, um, areas of toxic thinking. You want to begin to assess yourself to see if any of these things may exist with you. Toxic thoughts, toxic emotions, toxic words, toxic choices, toxic dreams, toxic seeds, toxic faith, toxic love, toxic touch, toxic seriousness, toxic health, toxic schedules. Okay. So we look at these because the result of toxic thinking in any of these areas, all of these can make up toxic thinking. So the result of toxic thinking will translate into stress in your body. And this type of stress can be um, long lasting and can play out in personality. So, and it can play out in how you engage people. And we want to make sure that, as we're assessing our personality and how our personality is being played out, we don't want to be a toxic. We don't want to be a liability for people who come into contact with us, for people who engage with us. We don't want to be a liability to them, right? We want to be an asset, even in conversation, and to be an asset, right? That's valuable. People will, view you as valuable. And not that we're striving to have that, to have people view us as valuable, but you want to be a healthy individual that can provide something of value whenever you're interacting with someone. You're not always going to interact with individuals to see what you can get out of them. You know, gimme, gimme, gimme. What about me? What about me? What about me? That is a self centered way to view life. That's a self centered way to be, interacting with individuals. And it's also a manipulative way. Manipulation alone can be very toxic. And when we're developing our personality um, for the positive, for the good, we want to always make sure that when we're in places of interaction with others, we want to be an asset to that individual. We don't want to be a liability to conversation or our relationships. All right. Okay. So, in thinking about toxic thinking, okay, if individuals have toxic thinking in any way, okay, and at some point we've all had it, right? But as we grow and we learn, we do better. Mhm. So, with individuals who have toxic thinking leads to toxic habits. Yeah, habits that are unhealthy, habits that don't make life better for that individual. Okay. And in fact, when that is in existence, we don't, we don't realize this, but when that exists and a person's life is toxic or their conversation is toxic, their relationships will be toxic and they will be basically um, you know, toxic, in every environment. Their personality will be toxic, right? So we don't want to have any negative habits or bad habits, caused by toxic thinking either. So let's assess the habits, okay? Habits. So positive habits and negative habits are built through the exact same process in our brains. Yeah. The only difference in that the thoughts that are released, they're basically um, different chemical levels in our brains. Our brains release chemical when we're having a good time, having a bad time, or when we're sleepy, or when we're confused. But in toxics, there's also toxic chemicals that are released in difficult areas and difficult times, right? Okay, so the difference in the thoughts, they are the thoughts that are good release a certain endorphin hormone or chemical in our brain. The thoughts that are bad or toxic release a bad or negative chemical in our brain. Depending on which kind of thought, negative or positive, it will have a different uh, effect on our brain and on our personality also. Okay. So it's important that we take a moment and assess and really think about what we're thinking. That's important, to truly think about what we're thinking and to make that personal observation, because you're the only one that can change you. Does that make sense? You're the only one that can develop you. Even if you go into a learning environment, say you're going to take a course or a class or a webinar on a specific subject that you want to know more about. Well, only you can take that time and engage in that webinar, in that class, so that you can take from that class everything that you need and extract all of the value that is there to bring for you and pull it out, assimilate it, and receive it and accept the change, accept the upgrade, you know? So we're the only ones that can do that for ourselves. That's some of the things that's in this book. I encourage you to buy this book. This is a great resource to be able to have in your personal library. It's great. It's great for me, and I love to reference it from time to time. So, the Dirty Dozen. That is something that was coined by Dr. Caroline Leaf. Love it. Use those different references to be able to assess your personality, be able to assess where you are, how you're responding. Are you the same? Yeah. So these are good reminders of understanding yourself, how to grow, and how to change. Here's something that I want to say. Only you can change you. Yeah, no one can change you. No one can make the upgrades in your life that are needed but you. Only you can change you. Only you can make the upgrades and the changes that you want to see in your life. That only you can do that. Yeah. And not only that, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Change is good, especially when you're changing for the better. When you are wanting to target any place of toxicity in your thinking, in your habits, and by doing that, you ultimately target any negative or toxic personality traits that you have. And we all have them or have had them, and so it's nothing to be ashamed about, but to cultivate change, you definitely want to take a stance on targeting what is toxic. Is this toxic? Could this be toxic? And, you know, don't overthink it. Toxic, is toxic. And, there's a way to be able to disengage those things. Yeah, there is. So, what we want to do right now is to remember your success wheel. Okay, let's look at that again. Your success wheel is you want to remind yourself of how you are, how your personality is playing out physically, intellectually, environmentally, spiritually, socially, emotionally, financially, and occupationally. All right. These are some great ways to be able to think of how you think of yourself. How are you thinking of yourself? What is your personality when you're alone in your personal space? Maybe when you're at school or in learning environments. What is your personality when you're outside? When you are outside, under the sun in the natural setting? What is your environment, or what is your personality when you are in places of worship? Okay? What's your environment in social settings when you are interacting with your friends? What is your personality? I keep saying environment. What is your personality romantically in your romantic relationships? How are you? What is your personality? Okay. Um, what is your personality when you talk about money, when others talk about money? How are you in those times? And what is your personality when you're at work? When you're at work, in the workspaces, okay, among colleagues. All right. And so, yeah, this is, by taking these moments to assess and truly dig into your personality traits and those things that make you you. Sometimes you'll find that that's not really me. I think I was that way because I was thinking that, people wanted me to be that way, or people expected me to be that way. And it's really about being comfortable in your own skin. It's really about being who you are in every environment and being the same. This is like about learning how to not compartmentalize your life where I'm going to be this person here at work and then I'm going to be this person here in my personal space. I can just let everything go. I'm alone. No, it's about being you and being you in every area of your life, being you in every environment, in every encounter, being the same, being whole. Because being different in all these different areas, it's like you're fragmenting yourself. It's like you're scattered. Your personality is like scattered in all these different places, and you're not really you. So, what we want to do is bring continuity, bring wholeness to this, to your personality, to the composite of you, so that you're one. You're one. You're whole. You're not scattered. You're not fragmented. We want to take that um, which was fragmented and bring it into wholeness. If there was any fragmentation there, we want to bring wholeness to your personality. All right. That's important because if you're fragmented, if you're scattered, people can pick up on that. People can pick up on the fragmentation of your personality or your soul. And we want to make sure that if that's the case, that you are learning how to be comfortable in your own skin and not be have pretense and pretend before you go into different environments, but to be wholly and unapologetically you, being authentic to who you really are, learning yourself, increasing awareness of self, and doing that by self-observation. All of this is up to you. It's up to you if you change. It's up to you if you learn. It's up to you if you apply these things. Yeah, because the result will be an upgrade of you, a better version of you, that you are able to get things done. You are able to live your life more accomplished. Yeah. And you know what also helps? Taking time to pray about things. Pray about things. Yeah. Meditate on positive things. So, what we want to do now is take a moment, and then at the end, we're going to say make a declaration, okay? So let's take a moment and let's meditate, all right? We're going to meditate on Psalm number 23. Yeah, Psalm 23. And so let's take Psalm 23, just the first verse, and we're going to meditate. So first, we're going to do a breathing exercise first, all right? And then we're going to incorporate Psalms 23, verse number 1. All right. So that'll give you some time to find Psalms 23, verse number 1 on your own. Um, so now let's do the breathing exercise. And what you're going to do, there we go. We'll just get that centered so you can kind of see me a little better. What you're going to do, get comfortable in your seat. Okay. Once you get your scripture, we're going to sit comfortably. And then first you're going to close your eyes. And then you're going to get completely relaxed. Let your shoulders drop. Breathe, take deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do it slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you take these breaths in through the nose, your stomach should be expanding out through the mouth. But all the air should be leaving your stomach as you exhale. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Shoulders relaxed. Now we're going to bring in Psalm 23 in through the nose, The Lord is my shepherd. Out through the mouth. I shall not want. In through the nose. The Lord is my shepherd. Hold it. Breathe out through the mouth. I shall not want. Again, one more time. In through the nose. The Lord is my shepherd. Hold it. I shall not want. Exhale through the mouth. Now that you're in a more relaxed state, take an assessment. How do you feel? Better? More relaxed? Good. So you're going to write about that. Yeah, you're going to write about that. And you're going to put that in your journal, meditation, and what that did for you. And then you want to incorporate this in your daily practice. It's best done at the beginning of the day. You first wake up, breathing, inhaling, exhaling. You could do that with the scripture like we just did. You could also do that with positive affirmation. Now we're going to do a declaration. We're going to just speak this out loud, okay, in our own hearing. And that will be, I am who God says I am. My development will be beneficial. Let's do it again. Let's say it again. I am who God says I am. My development will be beneficial. All right. So as we come to the end of week 2, personality development, think about your personality and remember your personality is you on display to the world. Have a great week.